Hey guys, welcome to Repitch. I'm Richard,
And this is David.
and this is yeah. we'll get a hang of it. It's been a while. We took a couple of weeks off. I've been sick,
Yes.
and all that's a lot's been happening. But I'm excited to be back, David, because you brought up a very interesting topic for this point. What are we talking about, David?
Yeah,
today?
for today we're going to be going into the top 5 90s movies on our list, our personal favorites,
Yeah.
pretty much. Now
Yeah.
that's tough, man, because I
It is
wanted to
tough.
do what was it, top 10?
But David, I don't want the audience just to listen to top 10. That's too many. I think 5 is good. Honestly, if it was up to me, I'll do top 3. That make it even harder.
That's tough. That's tough, man.
Yeah. So David, before we go down our list, I want to talk about, because you and I we were like teenagers, early kids in the 90s, and like, why do you think? I mean, I feel like everyone says it, like whenever you were kids, that generation of movies are the best.
Yeah.
But for you, David, why do you feel like 90s movies were the best? That era.
Honestly, I think it's because of what's it called? To put it simply, it's a simpler time. A lot of the
Oh,
things
yeah.
that came up, movies that came up during that time was like very simple, very like surface level things, but not in a bad way either. I think another way some people might put it is like innocent. Like it was like
Yeah.
a lot of innocence during that time period.
No, it's so interesting that you bring that up, because I was reading an article from the Guardian, like talking about that, and they use that term, innocent and simple, and like the 90s movies, like almost like a golden era of like these fun action movies, cheesy but good.
Right.
And like I read, like, why do we feel so nostalgic? Why was it simpler times? And like sadly, this was like a pre 9/11 era where the world was a lot less complicated.
Yeah, this is for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
just what are some? Sorry, just pulling up my list here. Just to name a few of the movies. It's like very like I said, like surface level things. Like I just look at Mighty Ducks.
Or
Like
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like there's a bad guy, there's a problem and a bad guy,
Right.
and it's gonna be solved in the third
it's
act.
like very not easy to solve, but like it's able to be solved, and it's very like it's not cut to the core, like not deep things.
No. It's fun. Honestly, I think it's a lot of fun, and definitely, you and I were definitely wearing nostalgic glasses watching this, and like, but I loved it. For me, I would always watch. I never went to theaters in the 90s. My parents never allowed me to, but I would always watch the runs on TV. So I would watch all of these movies on TV.
Yeah, same here for sure. I mean, I feel like a good number of them I was fortunate enough to go see, but a lot of them were like especially the stuff that came out before I was born, or like the first few years afterwards. I caught it on TV reruns, and that's
Oh yeah.
pretty much where all that starts. My love for movies.
Yeah, no, definitely for sure. 'Cause I feel like for similar to us, TV kind of was our third parent.
Yes, yeah.
It was our babysitter, basically.
Pretty
It was
much,
our parental
yeah.
figure. Yeah. So, Dave, how do you want to do this? Do you want to go down? Let's go down our list. So, what's your number 5?
My number 5. All right. I think again, this is tough. I think there's so many
It's
other
tough.
movies that are just
Yeah.
as good that should be up here, but I went with Forrest Gump.
Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
That's a long.
It's a
good
long movie.
though.
I think that was one of those first movies that I saw where I was like, "Oh wow, this is what a movie is like," and just the story behind it, and like how it tagged along with like American history and things like that. I thought it was great. Plus Tom Hanks in his prime.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Those 90s were Tom Hanks era. 90s,
Yeah,
late
for
80s.
sure.
That's like when Tom Hanks, Jim Carrey. Those is when they reigned supreme. Yeah, great movie. Definitely. Oh, it's definitely in my top like 50 of. That's a great movie. For me, when I chose these, when I picked out my list, I had a lot. I had like over 20, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this 5 is bad. But I put it down the criteria, like, what are the movies I could watch over and over again, and I don't have a problem with it. So the 90s, one thing that's great about it, I feel like, is the rom-coms.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
want to. I don't want to be the old guy, the boomer that says like, "Oh, rom-coms today," but rom-coms today is bad. Like, I think they're so trash, David. Like, oh man, like never have I. What's that movie?
Never Have I Ever.
Never.
The show, TV
No,
show?
no. That's a great one. No, that's a great one. No. It's P.S. I Love You.
Oh, yeah.
That one's trash. There's another one that's in Amazon Prime. It's The Summer I Turned Pretty. Yo, rom-coms are so bad. They're garbage. But I had a bunch, but I wanted to put for my number 5 is 10 Things I Hate About You.
Oh, okay, excellent.
Classic.
Yeah.
Who's the lead again?
Heath Ledger
lead.
or the
Heath Ledger.
Yeah.
Heath Ledger. It's based on the Shakespearean play The Shrew.
Yeah, Taming of the Shrew.
Movie.
Yep.
Yeah, it's only semi-aged pretty badly, but still okay to watch.
Yep.
Yeah, the movie definitely cannot be made today, but like Heath Ledger is a heartthrob. It's so good.
It would definitely need to be tweaked a little bit. A lot of things that come up in that movie.
Yeah. What's his name? Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Oh yeah, a young Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Julia Stiles.
He's in it too. Yeah.
It had a whole bunch of other people in that cast.
Yeah.
Just like how they started up. Was Gabrielle? No, that's not her.
No.
Who else was in that movie?
But it's a classic 90s rom-com. Simple premise, misunderstanding, and the couple gets together in the end. I love it. It's beautiful.
Nice.
What's your number 4?
Number 4. So, I guess to kind of give my criteria for how I picked it also, it's definitely, I wanted to try my best to pick one from like each different genre that really got me into movies.
Okay.
So this next one, definitely, I feel like I would do wrong if I didn't pick a Jackie Chan movie.
Okay.
So my number 4 pick is Rumble in the Bronx.
Oh my goodness, that was so close to be on my list. But like, why'd you put that list? Why'd you put that? Why'd you pick that movie?
That movie, I think this again was even picking out of all the Jackie Chan movies, because for a second I was gonna put Rush Hour up there, but then I was like,
it's classic.
Yeah, that definitely was. I could have put that up as like my favorite comedy movie, but action wise, I think Rumble in the Bronx. There's a lot of fighting in there, and it's one of those first movies where I was introduced to Jackie Chan. And
same here.
It just opened my eyes to like what action martial arts movie could be like.
Yeah, that movie must be PG-13 at least, maybe rated R. I mean, it's in the 90s, probably PG-13.
Yeah, it was borderline. I think I might have been rated R. There's some, like very.
I mean, there's one scene where the bad guy puts another person inside like a grinder and he shreds that. I can still imagine that today. That's like the only reason I can't stomach to watch that.
I still remember the scene where like they corner Jackie Chan into some like alley and they start throwing like bottles at him, hitting him with like baseball bats and stuff like that. It got like to that, but
yeah, he gets beat up pretty badly.
Yeah.
There's some great stunts in it. I remember there's like a jet ski, I believe, or in the water.
The jet ski one. There's one where he's like on the boat and it's starting to run over people too.
Yeah. Classic Jackie Chan. It might be like one of the first few ones in America that he started.
Yeah, that was like his intro. I think after like Jackie Chan First Strike, and then Rumble in the Bronx, and then Rush Hour is really where he like dipped his dove in.
Great choice, David. Great choice.
Thank you. Now, what's your 4th pick?
I don't think you chose this one, but this is, I feel like, one of my favorite movies is Starship Trooper.
Oh, okay. Good pick.
Yeah, I mean, even from like the surface level, army people fighting giant bugs, amazing. Like every boy loves that, just being in the fighting giant monsters and with the guns. There's some drama in it. There's some it's one of those movies that I definitely shouldn't watch because there's nudity and some really graphic scenes where like people's brain gets like splattered from a bug and his brain gets sucked out. Yeah, it could not be made today, but it's so good.
No, that's the funny thing you bring up. That's the beauty of these 90s movies, growing up, watching it on TV when we're not supposed to. Like the movies that we shouldn't be watching, things like that.
It's so good. And it's a great movie. It even talks about, it makes it even a comedy, a world that's very military based. It makes it into like a parody, like a warning almost. I think it's a great movie. I love it.
Nice. Good pick.
All right. I wonder if we're gonna ever have a matchup. I don't think so.
Yeah,
I think you're right. It's very different.
It's hard.
Yeah. What's your number 3?
Number 3. Now I had to go with some type of like comic book movie. And this one definitely Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The
Yes,
first one.
that is number 11 on my list. But yes,
Nice.
the first one, yeah, first
Yeah,
one.
the first one that came out. I think that was one of those first instances. Like also like introduction to like what a comic book movie can look like, and
Yeah.
also I think it was one of those. That was my introduction to the Ninja Turtles. Also, after
Oh
my
yeah,
cousin
same
showed
here.
me, and
Same
after
here.
that, it was just I just fell in love with that whole story, the
Oh
characters, and
yeah.
just what they were about. And for what it was at that time, just like the
Hmm.
puppetry and like the
So
costumes on it, so good.
it still looks good
Yeah,
today.
right?
Arguably, like to be honest, David, I thought they were real. I didn't know they were puppets. I didn't know there were people inside. When I was a kid
Right.
watching it, I'm like, oh my goodness, these things are real. Like,
So that's just
yeah,
another one just down like a childhood memory lane.
yeah, yeah. So good. There's some drama in there. It's like you think Splinter's gonna die, or
Yeah.
Raphael's
Mm.
dead. Some real drama. Great choice.
Thank you.
Side note: is that the best Ninja Turtle movie? Live action Ninja Turtle movie?
For me right now, that's the best one so far.
Hmm. I mean, I feel like we could talk about this movie more. But it's like, what was it, Shredder? Like, what's his plan? The whole movie, like, hey, let's get a bunch of teenagers to steal electronics, DVD players, and other stuff,
Yes.
and that's it.
Petty
That's his criminal
petty
empire.
like petty thievery and like burglary.
Yeah, petty theft, basically. It's ridiculous. All right. So number 3 for me
Mhm.
is I had to put Jim Carrey in this because he was one of the big names in the 90s. And I wanted to pick one that like I truly like is the Truman Show.
Oh, that was one of the ones I was teetering between.
Oh yeah. It's such a weird one. Like it's like Jim Carrey. Like I really wish he's in more stuff. He does a great job. You know, Eternal
Oh.
Spotlight, Sunshine. What's it called?
Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Yeah, he does drama so well.
He
And the
does.
flip of hat comedy. And this movie I feel like perfectly portrays that. Just the idea of like
Yeah.
a man's whole life he's been filmed on TV.
Right.
As a TV show, and it's so good.
Right. No, he
Yeah.
like you said, he's able to bring that out, like, because his character is supposed to be a TV character, but at the same time, it's him. And like Jim Carrey somehow like he does that so well, where like he
does.
presents it.
It feels genuine.
Yeah,
It's definitely one of my favorite. I rewatch it every so often.
Great
And
pick.
I love how it. I mean, of course, spoiler alerts for all this movie, but like, I love how it ends. Where the producer, the guy that's in charge, gives him the option. Hey, the world is scary outside. Stay here, and you'll be safe. And yeah, he ends it with saying, "If I don't see you," his catchphrase. What is it? Have a good day, good night, and whatever. And
Right.
it's just so like, yeah, I love it.
No, yeah, it's
It's a
like
heart-
heartwarming, uplifting. Like, it's good stuff. Great pick.
Yeah. Okay, what's your number 2, David?
Number 2.
Now we're getting to the top 3. This is
It's
important.
tough. Now, originally, I felt like I needed to put a Robin Williams movie up there. So I was going to do Patch Adams, but I
Okay.
decided to settle on Goodfellas.
Oh yeah, of course. You need a little bit of drama. The gangsters.
Yes.
Okay.
I think Goodfellas also, like, I saw this movie and it just like opened my eyes to like gangster movies, mafia, and also like how, what do you call it? The anti-hero. Like you can follow a bad guy and still root for him in a movie, and like that whole side of like cinema. So like that really introduced me to that aspect of storytelling.
Yeah. I have not seen it, David. It's one of those things where it's so relevant, so prevalent in pop culture that I know what's it about. I
Right.
know what happens, but I never sat down to watch
Right.
it. But I know it's a classic.
Yeah.
That's a 90s classic. Good
Yes,
choice, David.
thank you. What's your number 2?
So in the 90s, it's the golden age of Disney. And I had a bunch of choices, Little Mermaid, Lion King, but I chose my favorite Disney movie, Hercules.
Ah, okay. Nice.
It is still one of my favorite movies ever.
Excellent music. I think that was done
The
so
gospel
well.
soundtrack, so good. The music, I love it. It is, like, to be it's my favorite movie that I was disappointed to find out that because of this movie I was so interested to learn more about like Greek myths and stuff. And finding out actual Greek myths is nothing like the movie severely disappointed me.
Now,
But
did
yeah.
you think that they were like singing and doing all this stuff, or were you when you were trying to look into this Greek myth of Hercules?
Yeah, no, it's like in the Disney movie, like Hera and Zeus had Hercules, but in the actual Greek myths, like that's what I mean. Like Hera's not actually his mother. Like if anything, that's his greatest enemy that constantly tries to kill him.
Yep.
So yeah, great movie. I love it. And oh my god, Michael Bolton,
Michael Bolton.
when he sings that song, I Can Go the Distance. Oh my goodness, it's so good, David. Classic 90s Disney.
Seriously, classic 90s. That was one of my favorites too.
Wait, are we already up to number one?
We are up to number 1 now.
Shoot. Okay, David. Okay.
All right.
Wait, before we go to number one, what are some honorable mentions that you wanted to?
My gosh,
Yeah,
I'm telling you. So I went through a whole list. I listed out as much as I could. So my total count is at like 245. Like no, just
You really did your work.
I did.
Okay.
I just wanted to see because I was curious. I was like, how many movies did I actually see? And I counted it down. It was 245, and out of those,
okay,
36 were ones where I was like, oh man, I really, really love these movies.
Yeah.
A couple of other ones that were on my list were like Richie Rich.
Oh, great. Yeah, Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah.
Yep. Great. Home Alone.
Yeah, great one.
Amazing stuff. Yeah.
Heat.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Yes.
that one was a big one. I feel like I should have put that up there with Goodfellas, but that Goodfellas had to take that spot.
No, I think Goodfellas just peaks it barely. But yeah, okay.
A few other ones that I definitely wanted to mention were like Pleasantville, The Iron Giant.
Oh, I was just thinking that.
Yeah.
Came out in 1999.
Yeah.
I was like, ugh, I don't know. It's still technically a 90s movie, but yeah,
And
great
then
one.
Also, just to end the 99s was Mystery Men and then Bowfinger.
I have no idea what that is. Interesting.
Mystery Men, I feel like you might enjoy. It's an old Ben Stiller movie. He pretty much parodies what superhero movies are, and I feel like it's ahead of its time. Like if it came out today, I feel like it would have done much better. It would have been received much better.
Something that I had in my honorable mentions that I feel like we haven't touched upon, some horror.
Oh.
A classic horror movie, A Silence of the Lamb.
Oh.
So good. Dave.
You know, that is one I've never seen.
You've never seen
that? Is one I've never seen.
What's his name? Anthony Williams?
And Hopkins.
Anthony Hopkins? David, you gotta watch this.
And actually, one of the questions I wanted to ask you were like, out of all these 90s movies, what were some movies that you haven't seen that you do want to see? Like that you've been wanting to see? And for me, that is definitely one of them.
For me, it's definitely like Goodfellas. Like the gangsters movies, I haven't watched it. Like I haven't watched Scarface. I've never watched the Godfathers series. So that's something I definitely do want to eventually watch. But like, a lot of Scorsese movies I haven't watched for some reason. Because you know why? As a kid, I don't want to see people talk. I want to see fighting. I want to see giant bugs. That's what it was. But yes, Silence of Lamb was one of mine. Sister Act. Oh my goodness, it's so good.
Good pick.
Yeah. I think I like loud and colorful movies. That's what it is. Or really dark. Parent Trap.
Oh, okay.
With Lindsay Lohan. I did not know Lindsay Lohan as a kid. I did not know Lindsay Lohan played both roles. When I found out when I was older, I was like, I'm probably like a teenager. I was like, oh, my mind was blown. Let me see. What else? Men in Black. Will Smith.
Oh yes. Good one.
Coming out of the comedy into action, so amazing. If we're gonna do 90s action, we cannot help but talk about Arnold Schwarzenegger. And I picked True Lies.
Oh, okay. I thought
so good.
I thought you were gonna say, because this was also on my list too, Jingle All the Way.
We talked about Jingle.
Yeah,
I think we
did.
It's a classic movie. I could talk about that again. That's so good. And Robin Williams, I had one too.
Uh-huh.
Mrs. Doubtfire, one of my favorite
Classic,
movies.
of course.
But classic father, like again, Richie got daddy issues, so that's why I love it. It's my favorite movie. A father willing to do anything to spend time with his children, that he's willing to cause stress. Don't know if it's aged well, but like still great movie. Pierce Brosnan is in that movie.
That's right. He was the dashing
antagonist.
Antagonist.
Antagonist, which is really funny. James Bond movies. Oh my goodness.
Oh,
like,
the Pierce Brosnan movies, definitely huge.
He is my James Bond, regardless.
He is everybody's. A lot of people's James Bond who were born in the 90s.
Yeah. Okay, let's stop right there because I feel like I don't want to accidentally say our number ones.
All right.
Do you want to go first?
Our number one?
Yeah. What is your David? What is your number one 90s movie?
Number one 90s movie. I had to bring it back.
Yes, I want to hear it. I need to hear it.
To Disney, The Lion King.
The Lion.
That is the one I had to pick. There was a few I was thinking on, like either Tarzan or like even Mulan. I'll say like Mulan was really good.
Oh my goodness. Yo, Disney freaking was king.
Yeah, that 90s period, 80s, 90s period, it was the golden era.
Did they win an Oscar for Lion King?
They probably
I know they won an Oscar for Beauty and the Beast, also a classic movie. But yeah, Lion King, great. Why'd you pick Lion King? I mean, like obviously, but why Lion King?
Honestly, this was purely like I guess a sentimental reason. I think this is the first movie I remember watching in theaters. Like my parents taking me and like me sitting there and like watching through. Like my first memory of a movie theater. So it's like had to give it up to this movie.
Very nostalgic.
Yeah.
It's your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one. Side note, did you watch the live action version?
I did.
Does it compare?
I mean, it was pretty much a carbon copy. So I didn't think it compared because the first one, the thing about the original Disney movies, they're like you said, the color, the brightness, like the soundtrack,
the music. Elton John sings in
right?
it. What?
It's just like kind of in your face and like expressive and loud, and it's fun. These newer versions are kind of trying to bring it down to earth in a way where it kind of sucks that out, but they try to keep it in with all the songs and things like that.
Yeah, I mean that's a whole. I don't think we talked about it, but Disney live action movies, they're definitely a cash grab. 100% does not need to be made.
Speaking of it, I recently saw Pinocchio, pretty much exact copy of what the original was. I mean, but it's these movies are fun in the way that it's like, oh, it's kind of interesting to see these what we saw as cartoons be able to become like live action movies now. But again, I feel like the charm is gone when it's done.
So going back to the animated Lion King, what is your favorite song?
Ooh. I think I've always been a fan of "Just Can't Wait to Be King."
Oh, classic, of course.
Yes, but you can't go wrong with the opening.
Oh, Circle of Life. Yeah, no, for sure. Like it's so good. Like I for the longest time that was my alarm clock like ringtone, and it's amazing. Have you seen the? I mean, again, another side. Have you seen the Broadway show, The Lion King?
No, I haven't. That's that one of those shows I have to go see.
I highly recommend it. It's because like a Broadway show is different from the live, but I feel like it's as good.
Yeah, because I'm sure the people singing are so good there. Like.
Spectacular, amazing, and it's been going on for years now, maybe even over a decade.
They have so many of the Disney ones now on Broadway.
Aladdin's trash, but
really?
That's a great. That could be a good episode. Aladdin, Disney Broadway shows.
Repitch.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna repitch. But all right, are you ready for my number one?
Yes, please.
So a little bit of backstory. This is an action 90s movie. We talked about this actor before. We slightly talked about this movie. It's a 3-series movie that's amazing. It is Brandon Fraser's The Mummy.
Oh, I had a feeling you were going to put this on the list.
Yeah, I had to. I could literally watch this movie over and over again. Like, everything about this movie, like culturally, I don't know how, if it's sensitive or not. I'm sure it's a little bit weird, but like everything, like I would wear what Brandon Fraser, like he is the epitome of what I think an action star looks like in the 90s. Favorite movie.
That was a good one. That was a lot of fun too. It's a very rewatchable movie, I think. I agree with you.
100%. And again, it's semi simple, like a bad guy trying to come back to life, take over the world, etc. Great, I love it. There's some genuine, like the scenes with the bugs burrow into your skin, and you see that is genuinely terrifying. And like for CGI in the 90s, there's a lot of bad CGI in the 90s. But it is not terrible. Like they know what they're doing. Like the whole sand tidal wave with the mummy's face.
Yep.
So good.
Yep. Even the whole portion where he was like the mummy, like him walking around like with that. Yeah.
Genuinely terrifying. And he's like slowly getting more flesh, and so good.
Great.
I love it. Oh,
great
man,
pick.
Yeah.
Great pick.
How did we? That's so funny that we didn't coincide. We had plans just in case we did, but we never did.
Right? Yeah. I mean, it sounded like there was a few moments where we were about to, but
thinking about it. Okay.
But actually, I sent you a recent post. Somebody put up about like what do you call it? The Mummy 4 script that was scrapped after, what was it? The third one, the one with the
third one with Jet Li, right?
That one
was terrible.
Yeah, that one did terrible. But they were
Mummy 2 was pretty good, but what was Mummy 4 about?
So Mummy 4, they were planning one with Antonio Banderas, and they were gonna explore like Mayan culture or Peruvian culture or something like that.
Okay.
And he was supposed to be like some like Peruvian like king who's mummy who gets comes back to life, and they're gonna go over there and stop that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think after Mummy 2, it just plummets. Even Mummy 3, they recast the female protagonist, and it's just
that's right.
It doesn't do so well.
Yeah,
and it loses its flavor.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, and I don't even want to talk about what's his name, Tom Cruise's Mummy.
Unfortunate,
because that was just
not even Tom Cruise could have saved that.
Very true, very very true. That I just chalked that up to bad writing. But yeah. Anything else you want to talk about 90s movies, David?
Not a whole lot. Just like I miss them. I know that movies are getting more sophisticated nowadays, but
quote unquote, I don't know about that. We can talk about that. At this point, it's packaged, it's sealed. Like, ooh, there's no bad guy anymore. The bad guy was society the whole time. It's like I want a cookie cutter, like classic bad guy. I want a Ursula. Disney bad guy movie.
Like somebody who's evil, like just pure evil. They just want to see the world burn. Joker would say.
Hunchback of Notre Dame, classic villain. Like, oh my god, the song was amazing.
I can't tell you how
Scar.
Hunchback of Notre Dame scared me when I went to go see that.
It is genuinely terrifying.
Yeah, I think like the whole mob scene when everybody's like, like going crazy and like
so scary. But yeah, I mean, we missed it. It's always gonna be there. Movies, again, maybe not in the 2000s. I think seriously, from 2000 to 2007, there isn't a good movie. Maybe I'm wrong. We'll talk about that. But I mean, like, maybe 2005, not 2007. Like seriously, especially when it came to superhero movies, terrible.
I don't know, man. 2000s, that decade, 2000s to 2010.
David,
there's a lot of good
movies. We'll save it. We'll save it. But like. That's my hot theory. Make this into a soundbite, and maybe we'll prove me wrong.
All right. We'll see. But that episode is definitely coming in the future.
Oh yeah, for sure, definitely.
Well,
but yeah, David. So, where can they find us?
Well, you guys can always find us on our Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. Look for Repitch Podcast. And also, if you guys have any comments, any thoughts you guys want to share, any recommendations that we should topics that we should talk about or movies that we should repitch, you guys can reach us at repitchpodcast@gmail.com. And as always, just a big shout out to our friend Joe Yoo for all for all the help with our audio editing.
Yeah, and again, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for tuning in to our 90s special. In a couple of days, we're gonna actually repitch. David's gonna repitch the Buzz Lightyear movie that's supposed to quote unquote take place in the '90s. So how you see we're planning this out, sort of week to week, but still. Tune in for that, and yeah, I'm excited to hear David's repitch.
Yep. Well, that is all for us today. We'll catch you guys on the next episode.
All right. Bye.
See you.